Well, let's kick off with the England Test squad in Birmingham and hear from them about their approach to the challenges of the modern game.
But who wrote the coaching manual? Who wrote that? You'd like to know it, do you know what I mean? I mean, if it was someone that averaged over 100 in Test cricket, then I'd love to meet him. Who says that you can't play the way that A.B. de Villiers plays, the way that Joe Root plays, the way that Alistair Cook plays? None of those are by the book. There shouldn't be a textbook. All this, right, you've got to have this into here, which goes to here, which goes to there. That's not everyone's cup of tea, it doesn't work.
I've always been a believer you've got to make practice fun, because I think that's when you learn the quickest, when you're enjoying doing something. I mean, international cricket particularly, practice is quite few and far between really. A lot of the time is game day. You need them quality but not too much quantity.
If you're just going through the motions, you might as well not be there. We're going to make every practice count, and each individual to actually make sure that they're working on something in particular.
Probably the best two words to describe practice as fun and purposeful, with intent, precise in what you want to achieve out your practice. Everyone's different, everyone's got their little things that they want to work on, but finding out what works for you and taking that into your training.
Oh, Moeen Ali! And it's a big shot and a good catch from Moeen Ali. England 2-1.
Cricket's a funny sport when it comes to practice. 99.9% of the practice we do is nothing like in the middle. If we've got a net situation like we have today, you'll find that the batters and bowlers are actually talking to each other about the fields that the bowlers would have. But I'd like to see a little bit of that little bit of competitive edge in the nets as well. The bowlers are peeling when they think it's out, and just to create that little bit of competitive edge in the middle, because especially at the top level, that's what a lot of it's about.
It's when you start netting with the likes of Alex Hales and people like that, you start to sort of, like I say, get into, I call them net battles, and it puts something on the net, it puts something sort of between like friends. It's like friendly rivalry, if you like.
I mean, the good thing about bowling is the nets is you can't go for any runs. You've got to put that out of it, but in terms of working a batsman out and trying to get him out, which you do in the middle, you need to do the exact same in the net.
You definitely need to have a purpose, whether it is you say I'm going to try and bowl 6 balls in the same area, or I'm going to try and shape the ball away. For me, I just try and make sure I try and hit the top of off stump every ball, try and hit the same area. Just
because you're paid to coach doesn't mean having to say something all the time. Running down the wicket just to talk to a batter, maybe because you feel like you must say something because you're paid to coach. I think that's the wrong attitude. If you make the mistake 3 or 4 times in a row, well then it might be time to say something. But I think the higher up the levels you go, you'll find that those players will actually fix it themselves. At the younger age, there's probably a little more talking involved, especially when it comes to technique.
My main philosophy is basics, understanding your basics and being able to nail your basics. At that age, that's what the kids need.
Edged again, has that carried? Has it? I think it has. 2 in 2 for Otis Gibson, what a start.
The way I explain basics would be good alignment, good economical run-up, smooth economical bowling circles at the top so your hands working together, and a good finish. And then you can build on the basics. Bowling 90 miles an hour to me is a gift. If a coach could get a group of 5 or 6 kids and coach them to bowl at 90 miles an hour, I guess that coach would be a genius. But we haven't seen that yet. In England, you get swing. In England, one of the greatest skills you can have is accuracy, because the wickets offer you a little bit more than they do all around the world.
What a beautiful delivery that is.
A lot of the time it's on working out how to get batsmen out. Test cricket sometimes is a game of cat and mouse, and you have to almost sit in, be patient.
Well, you'll find most of the guys, they've got a pretty good understanding of their technique and what they need to improve on. And from a coaching point of view, it's at this level anyway, we'll do it in conjunction with the players. We're not about telling them how to actually play and they should do this and they should do that.
Tickled fine, and this will bring Bairstow 150, career best score in Test cricket now for Johnny Bairstow.
The technical change that came weren't from a specific coach, weren't from anything else. It was me messing around in the nets, if I'm quite honest with you. Just literally going and right, let's go play, let's go try this, let's go have a bit of fun, let's do it this way, let's do it that way, and just, yeah, that was that. It's part and parcel of the learning curve that you go through.
Over the top. He's been itching to do that. Has this gone all the way? I think it has, yes, 6.
You look at people that play switch hits and things like that. You're not telling me that that's in the coaching manual. Right, so you've got to change your feet, you've got to change your grip, you've got to do this. No, it's not. Or your reverse sweep. There's 15 different ways of playing your reverse sweep and angles that you're hitting it in. And so you may go over the top on the floor, paddle, in front of square, behind square. Utilising those different subtleties within your game is important.
Here's an edge there, surely, yes. 5 for ball on debut.
Back end of under-15 season, really, when I started to realise that I could actually bowl decent pace. Previous to that, I was a number 4 slogging batsman and not really sort of going anywhere, really. So I bowled the last game of the Notts under-15 season and took 2 for or something, but came off and the coaches said that you need to work on that.
That's got to be very, very close.
My body hasn't had the hammer that it normally would have done, so I think now I'm sort of reaping the rewards of being still quite fresh as a bowler. So yeah, I think it has been an advantage.
If you're working with a young bowler now, encourage him to discover as well. Encourage him to watch the likes of Alan Donalds, who I thought was outstanding, Malcolm Marsh and people like that. But I talked to my son about Malcolm Marsh because he was my hero. So we sit down sometimes and we look at videos of Malcolm Marshall. You see how fast Malcolm Marshall running, and that's the first thing he says. Why is he running so fast? So it's something for him to discover. And then when he practices, maybe he himself will run in fast to see what gains there are in him doing it, you know. And discovery learning is a massive thing.
Got him! I've been very fortunate in my career to have worked under quite a variety of coaches, all very successful but done in slightly different ways. I owe Andy Flower a huge amount as a coach and as a person, really, for changing me as a cricketer. He turned me from being almost a kid trying to make my way in international cricket to quite a hardened, tougher cricketer. Not just international cricket, but big games in international cricket. Actually perform on the biggest stage.
Oh, beauty! Oh, 300! He's joined the big club. Stuart Broad.
Morsey, very technical coach, so he could pick up anything and help you with anything in your technique. And he developed my mentality as a bowler to be more attacking. So I always had this theory, well, if I'm going for runs, get fielders out and put them in positions to stop the runs. And he came up with this theory that I'm a better bowler if I have more fielders in catching positions, because it makes me really hit the wicket into I cannot bowl a half volley if I've got no cover. I've been very fortunate under those coaches that they've all offered me something slightly different, but it's helped me develop as a cricketer.
And gone. 10 in the match for Chris Waltz.
My front arm was almost non-existent throughout a lot of my career, and just relied on pitching the ball up and swinging it at, late 70s, 80, which is quick enough but not express and going to cause the best batsman too much trouble. So that was probably a major role in getting my front arm working a little bit more and pulling through my action and getting that snap that they talk about a bowler has. And also just a bit of energy in my run-up. My run-up was always a little bit laboured. Put a bit of energy into it or a little bit more pace into it, and that's definitely worked dividends, really. We've played a huge amount together, and he'll spot things in my action, I'll spot things in his action. He'll ask me what delivery he should try and bowl when I'm at mid-off, and I'll be vice versa, because you see the game slightly differently when you're at mid-off than when you're bowling, because you're not so much in the heat of the battle. So it annoys me sometimes when people go, you bat in partnerships but you don't bowl in partnerships. Well, of course you bowl in partnerships. If someone's bowling a great spell at one end and the other bloke's going at 5 and 6 and over, it's not going to work. So you create pressure together. If I could advise any kids growing up or any league cricketers on a Saturday, field next to your bowling partner when he's bowling, because then if one ball seams, what was that? How did that seam? Was it a cross seamer? What's the wicket doing? You pick up so much from that communication. I don't judge myself on wickets. I judge myself on whether I created chances and whether I did my job for the team. So wickets are a bit irrelevant, and I think that helps me stay calmer as a player and just a bit more relaxed on the field as well.
A kid goes to a session today and then he goes to a session again. He has to wait 1 week because he probably only gets one session a week, and then next week the session is the same, and then the next week the session is the same, 3 weeks in a row, and then the kid doesn't really want to go. But if he goes and it's really interesting and exciting and different, he's waiting a week and he can't wait for that week to come so he can go in the next week. And I guess as coaches, that's what we need to find, especially with a young age.
For me, there's too many people around that are trying to make robot cricketers. You don't get people in India saying, you know, you've got to go play this way. You don't get people saying, oh, you can't bowl your dusra. You can't try doing things like this. For me, people are getting too mechanical, too technical, and almost too by the book. Make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it memorable.
Make it fun, make it interesting, make it memorable. Well, Johnny has certainly had a memorable year. He's worked extremely hard with the coaches, and as he said there, he's worked it out for himself as well. Now, watching England practice home and away, I'm always fascinated by the way they approach their work. Now, sometimes it's super intensive, but sometimes it's very relaxed. But there is always a purpose. No one is forced into doing anything they don't want to do. Now, the coaches are there to facilitate what the individual player needs. That's not a bad way to